over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
Play the whole clip.
You've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
So you did say it. Do you still believe it?
Okay, we're gonna obviously give RFK Jr. a chance to respond to that. But I just wanna stop for a second to point out that that is what people should be ready to do with politicians. If you're a journalist hosting a show like Kasie Hunt is there, with politicians of both sides, if you know that people are going to deny having said something, if they're going to deny having seen a tweet, have the video ready, have the tweet ready.
Yes.
They say the same thing over and over. You don't get to say that you're not prepared for this, and she was. She said, did you say it? She knew he would lie or misspeaks, forget, whatever. And so she played the video. Now, he's still an adult. He gets to respond to it, but she was ready for it, and I respect that. So with that said, here is his explanation.
Here's what I would say. First of all, I'm not anti-vaccine.
How is that statement not anti-vaccine?
Well, I can say right now there's no medicine for cancer that's safe and effective. It doesn't mean I'm against all medicines. I've been fighting 40 years to get mercury out of fish. We never had hepatitis B epidemics when I was a kid. We never had rotavirus epidemics. A lot of these products were added to the schedule because they enrich the companies.
So do you think school children should not be required to be vaccinated in public schools?
No, I would be against mandates at all.
For any vaccines?
For any vaccine.
Okay, so look, I understand what, by the way, if you like RFK Jr., you support him, that does not necessarily mean that you are anti-vax or whatever, but you need to understand that people who are anti-vax love that about him. And I understand that he will continually evade and everything. If you can watch all of what he just said, not in the original video that he's denying having said, but his explanation there, and you do not think that that is anti-vax, that the best he can come up with is maybe there are some that marginally do more good than bad. I don't know what you think anti-vax means at that point. And again, it is so weird. I understand the strategy. For a group of people, I'm not saying you, if you like RFK Jr., but I'm saying the anti-vax people like that he is anti-vax, but they understand that he needs to hide it to draw more people in. It's just such a dishonest thing to not be willing to cop to. Yeah. You like him more than other people because of the positions he has against vaccines.
But that are incorrect positions. Even what he just just spouted right there about like when I was little, there was no Hep B vaccine. Yeah, that's because there was no Hep B vaccine. There was Hep B, just there wasn't a vaccine for it. Like it's a good thing that there's a Hep B vaccine because otherwise there would be far more outbreaks. And all of this he traces to bogus science. It can be debunked very, very easily. But again, you're right. He's not even accepting that he is anti-vax. And yeah, pharmaceutical companies do enrich themselves. It doesn't mean they're creating something just to enrich themselves. How can we mitigate that? Well, we can tax them more. We can make sure that they give the vaccine away for free. We can limit the amount of money that they can charge for that vaccine. These are ways we rein in greed. It doesn't mean that pharma and the scientists that are working on these and the folks who've studied this doesn't mean that they are evil and only in it for money. Can we separate those things?
Yeah, and I hate to see, again, we see this in so many different issue areas. It is taking a legitimate fear, anxiety, or like opposition to what's going on, and then moving it in a completely unproductive conspiracist direction. That's what it does. I'm not saying that I can read his brain and know that that's what he wants to do. I'm saying that's what it does in practice. Is it takes an America that has finally sort of come to grips with the idea that we're being played by the insurance companies, by big pharma companies, and then rather than doing anything about it, we instead focus on absolute nonsense. Again, from a guy who I cannot remind you enough is not a doctor. He's not an expert on this. The fact that he has been telling the same debunked lies about vaccines for 20 years does not mean that he's an expert. And it's much easier to simply say they don't safety check these things than it is to make a vaccine. On rotavirus and Hep B, by the way. So they have one of the vaccines that's licensed against rotavirus was tested in a placebo-controlled prospective 11-county 4-year trial of more than 70,000 infants before it was approved. Safety monitoring for the hepatitis B vaccine, like all vaccines tested before being licensed, involved determining side effects in the vaccinated and unvaccinated groups for weeks after each dose. Indeed, some subsets of vaccinated individuals have been monitored for 30 years after being vaccinated. Again, maybe he knows this, maybe he does. I'm not a psychic, but I just know that he has learned nothing since he started talking about this stuff. And it's not an indictment of you as an individual if you like him for other stuff or whatever, but you do need to understand that there are plenty of people who like him specifically because of his opposition to vaccines, and that's not a coincidence.